Wow, I got some feedback. So I have to do this. I promised my husband I'm going to do it. Hello, Wembley. So my name's Claire Yates. I've got the pleasure, the privilege of spending the next half an hour with you, and I'm going to try and make sure that it's time you don't regret spending with me, not that you'll say that's a half an hour and never get back. And I thought I'd start by doing a funny AI-generated cartoon of me so you can get an idea of what I do. So if you've not heard me speak or you don't know anything about me, please do look me up. I'm absolutely passionate about customer service. That matters more to me than anything else. I'm really old. I started my career quite a long time ago when dinosaurs were still roaming around and the Abbey National still existed. It hadn't been taken over by Ant and Dec. But I thought it was really important that when we're talking about AI, that we talk about human beings as well. Now, being human, I tried everything I could to be super fit for today, but I'm just going to tell you that on Sunday morning I woke up and all I could do was squeak. My husband was delighted, a day of silence, he thought, but I squeaked and grabbed all the way through, and I'm praying that my voice is going to hold out for the next half an hour, so bear with me. So, my title today, What's the Point of You? This was my niece's comment when my sister said she was going to marry her soon-to-be stepfather. She said, he's very nice, but what's the point of him? And I thought, bear in mind I do come from Cardiff, truth be told, not going to lie, that I thought, actually, what's the point of view for an estate agent with AI looming is quite important. You see, Generation Alpha don't actually like people very much. They like to self-serve. They like to swipe their card through to the gym and not talk to people. They order things through Deliveroo and Uber Eats, and you can see the delivery coming through every step of the way. So they don't have to talk to people. They don't want to actually speak to us. They send us emails and WhatsApp messages, anything but actually speak to us. And if you have the nerve to speak to them by trying to call them on the phone, they won't take your call. They'll let it go to voicemail. So we have to be relevant, not today, next year, the year after, the year after. So I'm going to take you back in time. I know I've aged well, haven't I? That's me at 37. This was 1997, and I was working in Chancellor's offices in Headington in Oxford. And we were actually selling an awful lot of houses. I was a part-time negotiator, 35 hours a week, they called my part-time hours. And they said I was constantly having to take time off to look after those children that I had. I was the mother, and still am the mother, of 3 boys. There's just 4 years between my kids. So I want you to understand what that meant. 3 boys going through puberty, 3 boys all at home, 3 boys going to uni. That was expensive. So I needed money. So as far as I was concerned, I needed to do everything I could. Now, we had state-of-the-art technology in 1997. So we had a hotbox. For those of you who do not know what a hotbox is, it's a form of sort of Rolodex or a little plastic box with cards in. And you were told off if you had too many cards in your hotbox because you were only ever going to sell 10 houses or 15 houses in a week, so no more than that. And there was a ceremonial ripping up of anybody that you were wasting time on who wasn't actually hot. And then we had also a state-of-the-art filing cabinet for 131 for potential vendors. And every day we drag out the records for the vendors that we thought we should have a conversation with. So you might say, well, what on earth could you achieve with that? So, oh, by the way, yes, we also used newspaper advertising and sticky photographs that went on property details because we were absolutely right there. They were colour. So what does success look like with that? First £1 million branch outside London. I want you just to think about that. The first £1 million branch in 1997 outside London. We were agreeing 50 sales every single month, and our average fee was around 2%. We looked after the John Radcliffe Hospital, we looked after Brookes University, and we looked after some of the university staff. But we worked hard. There were just 4 full-time negotiators and 1 part-timer. And that's how we did it. Now, we did all sorts of various different things involving shoe leather, but we became an award-winning office, and I won Negotiator of the Year for upselling mortgages as a part-timer. So you might be thinking, I'd like a bit of that. Can I also just tell you that that year, I earned £45,000 a year as a part-timer. So it's pretty good money. But what I did understand was I needed to know my area. I needed to know who was doing what. We walked everywhere. We shopped in all the local shops. We made ourselves visible and we got to know people. Because the thing I really understood was, and this is the case, estate agency has always involved arranging meetings with complete strangers, often lasting less than half an hour. Now, that isn't just a question of selling. That isn't just a question of what we're going to do. It's a question of personal safety for them and for us. And back in the day in 1997, we asked certain questions, and today we ask the same questions. But the question is, do they know you well enough to hand you their front door key and burglar alarm code at the end of this? And do you know them well enough to know whether they're lying to you? Because intuition is one of the things that AI cannot give you. So I want you to think about all of the meetings that you have in your diary and think, what do I know about the stranger that I'm about to meet? Because when I walk in and I mystery shop estate agents and letting agents regularly, the weirdest thing is hardly anybody stands up anymore, point number one. Secondly, they're all too busy to actually really acknowledge me, point number two. And the third question is, am I on their mailing list? And actually, that's not the best way to start a meeting with somebody. Now, we call the process selecting which strangers we meet as qualification of applicants, which I think only an estate agent can come up with. By the way, we also made up the word proceedable, which didn't exist back in the day. It's an estate agency made-up word. So, how do we do that? Well, we get out our crystal ball and we try and work out which people we think are a going concern. AI would allow you to go online and do all this for you so you can qualify yourself. But the point is that we already know that buyers and tenants quite often don't tell us the truth. So qualification is a scientific process. It's normally asked with 4 questions. First of all, why are you moving? Why do you want to do what you want to do? Secondly, when do you want to move? Thirdly, how are you going to pay for it? Or how are you going to raise the money? And the final thing is, what's the most important thing for you in that process? Now, you take the hot box and you turn it into modern day, and actually the questions should still be the same. But are they? So let's take you further forward now. So we're now into 2025, because it's still down to trust. Do we trust them to put the right answers into our system when they fill in the right move information, when they call us out to go and see them? And can they trust us? Because this is the big thing. I heard Sally speaking earlier, and to me, we sell time, but the second thing we sell is trust. So I'm just going to ask you a question, all of you in the room, and some people have heard me say this before. How many people do you know that you would hand your front door key and burglar alarm code to after knowing them for less than 45 minutes? It's a big thing, isn't it? Do you know what? I trust you so much. Not only am I going to give you my front door key and my burglar alarm code, why don't you case the joint and see where I keep my car keys, my jewellery, how I store my food. Have a good look around and check out how valuable almost everything is in my house. But I tell you what, I trust you so much that I'm going to tell you when I'm going to go away. I'm going to tell you when I'm away for the weekend. I'm going to tell you when I'm going away for a 2-week holiday. And why don't you, because I've only met you 45 minutes ago, but I've got such a good feeling about you, why don't you choose strangers to march around my house while I'm out? Just think about it. When we go to lettings, it's even more terrifying. Why don't you choose a stranger to live in my house? I trust you to check out that stranger, put them in my house, and why don't you collect my rent and put it in your bank account? Can you imagine any other situation where we would place that much trust in an individual that we just met? But we do equally daft things, don't we? Somebody says, I can definitely sell this house and my partner's absolutely on board with it. And where do I sign? And we take instructions and we spend our money trying to market their property with no definite guarantee of getting paid. In fact, we've got no guarantee of getting paid. We've just got this. If we took this model to Dragon's Den, they think it was great. And do you know what? I'm so determined to sell your house, I don't want to get paid if I don't sell it. So I could do weeks, months of work and get nothing in the bank at all, based on the say-so of a complete stranger that we don't even know owns the house. I want you just to think about how mad this is. So, 28 years later, after that glamorous woman was selling her houses and making a fortune, where are we? Well, we've got CRM, so we don't need a hot box anymore. We've got Match and Mail, which means that we don't have to stick envelopes in and we don't have to post stuff out anymore. We've got portals that drive leads into us and advertise our property, so we don't need newspapers anymore. We've got digital photography, so I don't have to stick photographs on details anymore. We've got virtual tours and we've got videos, so we don't need to show as many people around property anymore. And we've got data feeds that send us data so that we don't even have to go and do our 2020 as I used to do in some cases. And we don't have to constantly be calling people through a 1 to 31. And then the portal leads keep telling us when people are even thinking about moving and they're online if they've got information in our area. So you would think, wouldn't you, that every office that we talk to has got the capacity to sell 50 houses a month and turn over £1 million. So with all of this, surely we should be more successful. But it only works if the consumers see it and understand what we're doing, because they're more demanding in every area of business. And they became worse after COVID. In fact, I don't think we should have ever locked us all up. They want a better customer experience and they'll only pay for a better customer experience. They want an easy life. They don't want to work that hard. They don't want to get out of bed unless it's absolutely important. They want value for money. They're constantly saying, why should I pay you more than the guy down the road? And they want you to feel good when they spend it. Because that's the best thing about spending proper money, is you feel great because you made a good decision. You certainly don't want to feel dirty because you spent too much or cheated because you think you've been ripped off. And so AI is giving us the opportunity to do some amazing things. It streamlines our operations and it enhances client expectations, and it provides valuable market insights for our customers as well as other people. And it automates valuation, lead generation and property matches. So we, in theory, should have some time. And that time should be spent on building relationships so that we're not strangers, providing expert advice and negotiating deals carefully. So why is it wherever I go, agents are too busy to tell me how busy they are? They're constantly saying, I'm late for a very important date. Why do we lose so many instructions? Because we're late for the valuation. It's a job interview. You should never be late for a valuation. And yet constantly I hear, oh God, we're running late. In fact, it's an announcement like the King or the Queen. Could you please, I'm ringing on David's behalf. David's running late, you know. I think, oh, well, that's very charming. What about me? You're too busy to even make us. So this is all great, providing the data you put in the system is reliable. And this is where my cough goes. Hold on. I wish I had gin in there. Right. So providing the data is put in, it's reliable. So I'm going to ask you, how good is your system? Is it absolutely packed full of information? So, a couple of things I want to tell you about. Every inquiry starts with someone who wants to leave where they are and go somewhere else. And when they come and see you, that's what they want. I want to be near my daughter down by the seaside. That's what I'm dreaming of. Or maybe they want to be free of the pig they've been living with all this time. Who knows? Or free of debt. Some people actually want just to buy their first home. But your job is to help them get there. And our data is there to help them. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. Would you trust a robot to look after your front door key and burglar alarm code? Would you trust a robot to choose who views your property? Apologies, ladies and gentlemen, I was doing so well, wasn't I? Interrupt your evenings and weekends with viewings. Tell you to put your toys away, the kids' toys away. Switch off your programme. Tell your guests to go out for a while. You've got a viewing coming up. Take your dog for a walk. Would you allow a robot to choose contractors to repair your property if you're in lettings? Would you like a robot to choose your tenants? What about collect your rent? But the thing I'm going to ask you about is, would you like a robot to look after your nan's next move? Our only true value lies in the services only a human can deliver. So I'm just going to remind you why you matter, okay? You need to listen with the intent to understand, because people want to tell you what services they're looking for and they need you to listen and to deliver it. A robot can't do that. A robot can't appreciate their time, their privacy, their time. Ask them what help they need, not tell them what you do. It's really important. Show kindness and empathy and respect. Accompanied viewings massively showcase what you do. Do it and show people how good you are at being an estate agent. And negotiate on their next home. Why don't we talk about that some more? So some questions to think about. How does your technology improve your customer experience? How? If your technology is just for you, then does it give you that time, and measure it? How does your technology increase your team's productivity? Sally gave some really good ideas earlier. Let's have a look at that. What is the customer experience return on your investment on your technology, and how have you measured it? And have you ever asked your customers what they think of the service that they've had to date? Please don't rely on surveys. How many surveys do you complete? How many surveys do you sit down and rate? Most of them you don't bother with. How much time do you spend measuring relationships and seeing how successful you are? Because quite honestly, the number of calls I've had and somebody like that has been on the other end of the phone, it's been shocking. Applicant management. Do you have a system full of motivated buyers, landlords and applicants? Are you constantly keeping in touch with the right people at the right time? Do you know who's going to sell next week, next month, this year? And if you're not doing that, what are you doing? So, if the services that we deliver is so great, then why are we constantly competing on fees? How do we know that we deliver what our customers want? And how do you record negative feedback? This is my favourite. Most people want complaints to go away. They try and prove the customer wrong. I want you to embrace negative feedback because you learn from it in feedback. In fact, Bill Gates said your unhappiest clients are your greatest source of learning. So make sure that you record and listen to what people have got to say. You don't get better by doing things right. You get better when you make mistakes. You get better because you learn from those mistakes what you could do differently. Saga have an incredible customer service thing, and I should know because I'm old enough to start enjoying their services. But what they say is every complaint is a present. Unsolicited feedback telling you exactly where you are and what your customer wants you to do better. And if they tell you, then it's better than telling somebody else. So sit down and just rate your business in your customer's shoes. As a seller, do you think it was good enough? As a buyer, do you think it was good enough? Because if you're not a great service to your buyers, they won't become your sellers. Do your landlords think you're value for money? Do your tenants think you're value for money? And by the way, 15% of tenants are also landlords. So ignore your tenants at your peril. And by the way, also, some of those tenants are also the sons and daughters of the parents who were landlords. Because I know from a lioness point of view, you won't mess with my kids and you mess with me and you won't forget that. And then finally, the contractors, because I've listened to the gossip that contractors have out on the street. And they're very vocal with the letting agents they love working with. And they're also very vocal about the agents that they're not very happy about working with. So here's your call to action. And again, apologies for the voice. Everyone in your business should understand why we qualify all inquiries and be able to do so instinctively. Can they? If you haven't trained your staff to understand motivation, ability, need, then they need to have that, because it's no good having AI if you've got the wrong data in. Everyone in your business should understand that we are a people-first industry and we're dealing with human situations like death, divorce and debt. Putting a roof over your head is a basic human need, and no technology can ever beat empathy or kindness. So, if it's not personal, it's not special. And if it's not special, it's not memorable. And if it's not memorable, then it doesn't matter. And if we don't matter, there is no point to us. Quite simple. So, there's a couple of things, because I haven't quite finished, just a couple of things I want to say. Thank you. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for bearing with me as I croaked and squawked. Gratitude is something that costs you nothing. It means everything when you get thanked by your customers. They go out and they buy you cards and they write little letters and they find gifts to say thank you for what you did. But I want you to think about what you do to thank people for their business. What do you do to say thank you to your team? To the tenant that tidied up so the inspection was better? To the people who've helped and given up their weekend so you can show around property and sell them? To all the people around, because if you want people to say thank you some more, then let's spread some gratitude. So thank you for listening to me, it really matters. And thank you, and please, 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 if you haven't said thank you to somebody recently, make a point of doing so. My name's Claire Yates. I'm available for birthdays, bar mitzvahs, and special occasions. Thank you.